Hey, Abby, welcome to my channel and maybe
Yeah,
also to your channel. Super nice to meet you and thank you for making the time for this interview.
absolutely. I'm excited to talk to you today. Got my
Yeah,
little my peacock cup of coffee.
oh, I love peacocks.
Hmm.
No, I hung it there, so I can't show you. It was behind me before.
Oh,
But anyway, so I got to know you through YouTube and I was like, oh my God, she is so clear and
mm,
so she knows a lot. And you obviously went through a lot yourself because I think you can only go as deep as you can go with yourself
mhm.
with the teachings. And I was just super intrigued and I want to get to know a bit more about you. For everyone that's watching my channel that will come across it coincidentally, which I don't believe in.
Mm.
Yeah, about your journey. Like, so you teach about Neville. I think also the teachings of Maxwell Maltz I find in there. I'm trying to think of another name that I recently. Oh yeah, what is this book? They have a book about love and about money. It's a couple. I heard you speak about them
Oh,
recently.
creating money?
Yeah,
Maybe not that one. I don't know. I say so many
Shania,
different, but
Shania something, and okay, no, it doesn't matter. I put it in the description, but I thought,
perfect.
she's
Mm.
reading so many of the same books. So I was just intrigued. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I know it's
yeah.
always so interesting what, comes across our life or feed and then like, oh, okay. And then later you're like, oh my gosh, how like I had the one book that I was talking about creating money. I had it for 5 years and it was just from
Mm,
box to box and move to move. And then
mm,
2 months ago, I was like, who are you? And it's like I had never seen it. And then I couldn't get enough of it. I just kept reading and reading and reading. And so those different
mm.
iterations of things that it kind of opens up inside of us. And then when we get to another book or something, we can see it in a different way. So I think it's
Yeah,
fascinating. It really like how we see reality is our own perceptions and understanding and recalibrating to what we're wanting to experience, I think is vital.
yeah. And so let's dive right into
Yeah.
this because it links into Seth. So I wonder, have you heard about Seth? Do you know about his teachings?
I don't, is it a channel of some sort? Like somebody
Yes,
channeling? Yeah.
somebody channeled him. So
Mm.
she doesn't live anymore. Her name is Jane Roberts. Okay.
Oh.
So that's not really interesting then to get into it. I was just curious if you know
Yeah.
about him.
Now
And
that you're saying it, I think I maybe heard distantly of, but never, and maybe this is a little, let
yeah,
me go investigate that. So maybe this is a
who knows?
universal little, yeah, nudge.
Who knows? So how did you get into Neville Goddard? Like when did he cross your path?
I mean, I'm guessing it was like probably maybe late. I don't even know. I'd be interested now to go back and see when my first video of him was, but I can't be sure. In sometime in 2019 potentially, because I think I started my channel more intensely in like 2000 or 2020, which was a year for all of us to have a different shift and expression in life. But yeah, I'm guessing before then. So maybe 2018, maybe 2019, but I was definitely going through a lot in my own personal life. And really, the start of the channel was a very interesting, in hindsight, symbol of me kind of blooming in my own way and making a lot of changes that were essential, even though I was denying them for so long. And I can get by with that. I don't need that. I can, I'm
Mm,
very, very codependent.
mm,
And that was pretty much, I got to a point and it was ended up in a physically abusive relationship where it was like, okay,
mm.
if I keep doing this, I could actually die. I don't know what the end of this is. So I
Oh,
really
wow.
had to make massive shifts. And Neville
Mm,
got it in understanding, you know, how we experience life. Not that I deserve that or anybody getting any treatment like that
mm,
deserves it, but
mm.
what participation are we ignoring ourselves and stepping into dynamics that allow others to treat us that way? And then in
Yeah.
other unknown ways. So
Mm.
yeah, probably in 2019, in a tangential short way to answer that.
Yeah, no, perfect. Like I went through a really painful breakup. Like it
Mm,
was heart-wrenching and I just needed answers and I needed to understand. And it started with, I want him back.
Yeah.
That's how it
Same too.
started.
That's how I got into manifestation. How can I get this person back? And it wasn't
Yeah.
that abusive relationship. It was others. Like, oh my
Mm.
gosh. And the obsession that the
Mm.
solution to the end of my suffering was outside of me. And
Mm.
that's one of the greatest things that anybody can ever help you see within yourself. Because that's another thing too, that I'm like, I don't ever want to think, like people said, oh, for healing, thank you for this or that. And I'm like, everyone is healing themselves. And, we can help support or share what we've learned that our teachers have taught us, but you're always healing yourself. And that little
Yeah,
nudge is you to you. And, oh, okay, maybe somebody watching
exactly.
this is going to get something. But if
Mm.
you're looking for the solution outside of yourself, you're in the illusion. Is
Yeah.
ultimately the most simple. Now the
Yeah.
expressions of that can look a lot of different ways, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
the simplest way to say it.
Yeah, it's cool. This is actually, that was my last question would have been. So thank you for already answering
Oh
it.
yeah.
Yeah, but I'll ask it again. Yeah, exactly. And then I don't know how it went for you. I guess it went the same. At one point I was like, wait a minute. I don't want this guy back. I was
Mm,
so happy with all the knowledge that I gained from it and all the power that I feel that I have at my fingertips. And
mm.
the deeper and deeper and deeper I go, I guess you too. So what is your favorite concept of Neville?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that there's a lot of different books he's written and that I've read and continue to read. Cause I mean, really, some of it is just really, really dense. If you really get like, wow, I can read a passage and go quick, but then you look at it and you're like, wow. And ultimately it is that, like, right. Everybody is you pushed out. Everybody is your beliefs about yourself, how you're to be treated, pushed out. So people who
Mm.
are treating you really nice, if you have a low self-worth, you'll repel it just the same as somebody says, oh, you look so nice today. I love what you're wearing. You're like, no, it's not that big a deal. And you want to get away from that energy because how you see yourself. So nothing outside of you will ever change the way you see yourself. What you see on
Mm.
the outside will change as you see yourself differently. So ultimately, your beliefs are pushed out, and the law of assumption, those and your self-concept, those are all one group of different ways to say it in my
Same
opinion.
thing. Yeah. Yeah.
But you will never be able to see outside of you differently than you see inside of you. Now there
Yeah.
can be disconfirming experiences where you start to believe and you're really trying to stay with you and you're maybe stumbling, and then something big outside and you're like, whoa, that completely shatters, like somebody's maybe emotionally available for me. Well, then you're having this experience now that's crushing and dismantling all those old beliefs. So it really helps build momentum, but the origin of that came within you. So,
Mm.
that idea and the way he talks about awareness and, it's like the light, and the more you take the light to the dark place is not evil, but just an absence of light. And we are
Yeah.
light. So the idea that
Yeah.
it gets on and on and on. But yeah, everybody as you pushed out, I think, is the most simple thing that is very like mainstream in Neville's like circles, but the
Mm.
most misunderstood,
Yeah.
in my
That's
opinion.
actually, that was also one of my questions. What is the biggest misconception
Mm,
conception, do you think? Yeah, there are tons of videos out there. And I know I made a couple of videos about it too
mm.
a while back.
Yeah.
And I think one of them is on point and the other one was like, no, I didn't understand it yet.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think that there's beauty in that too, of like, wow,
Mm.
like I'm not an expert in like how to do it. I'm somebody who's learning, and hopefully sharing can help other people do the same, and then they can do the same and they can do the same, right? It's that
Yeah.
beautiful spiral of
Yeah.
expansion. But another misunderstanding, in my opinion, is assuming. I assume that person's going to change. Well, again, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about this, the Newtonian. When the outside
Mm.
changes, then I'll feel different outside. So I'm going to
Yeah.
assume you're going to be different. So then I feel different, where it's
Yeah.
still a
I'll be
very,
happy when.
yeah.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
my opinion, it goes back to childhood. If you treat me different, like you completely rely on your caretakers as a kid. So if you have
Mm.
that same idea that I'm powerless unless the dynamics change, as a kid, you
Mm.
are. You have to put full faith that these people can keep you safe, or y'all are all going off the cliff to doom or whatever. But if you
Mm.
still have that same view of you, and you still relate your value through that way that you were treated, either physically or like directly being taught, shown, or verbalized, you're not good enough, whatever, or you perceive that you didn't get the attention you need, so you must not be valuable. If you
Mm.
continue to relate through other people, you will continue to relate through other people, and you'll be limited in what you're seeing. You won't actually say, oh my God, okay, that they were going through their, my parents are adult human beings, so they made mistakes. They did the best
Mm,
they could, whatever.
mm,
And me starting to realize me to me and relating directly to myself, as opposed to using the law in a distorted way that I'm going to assume you act differently. I'm going to assume that thing changes. Neville Goddard's whole thing was about how you see yourself. And even
mm,
like I have big, and I have gotten some criticism on this, but, he talks about revision, that
mhm,
I'm going to go back and imagine this thing is different. Well,
mhm,
his entire basis is about how you see yourself. So if
mm,
that thing outside of you had to change, it
mm,
only matters how you see yourself. So it doesn't matter what happened outside of you. It matters how you see yourself. So again,
mm,
in my experience, I do revision as you go back and realize you are always valuable to be treated correctly and get your needs met. If somebody didn't have that, you can shift your view of that.
mhm,
But if you need to change what happened in your mind and that helps, that's good. And some people they're not able to do it. So
mm.
one way to say, oh, they were human beings and potentially, expressing their traumas, their hurt onto me, and I deserve to have my needs met. And I didn't get that. And I'm still worthy, whole, and complete.
Yeah.
So those are different things. Yeah.
Yeah. And for sure also, like why do you need to revise? What is it? Like what is it in you that makes you feel so
Yeah.
because of work on that? And that's the whole
Exactly.
self-concept,
And again, it's in
self-image.
yourself. Yeah. And that's, I
Yeah.
think that it's such a disservice that people spend a lot of energy. And I mean, at the end of the day, they're trying to feel safe. They're trying to feel good enough. They're trying
Mm,
to feel worthy
that's it all. Yeah.
and relating to how somebody treated them. So if they treated me
Mm,
differently, then I'll see myself as differently rather than
mm,
how do I see myself right now? If I can change the way I see myself, what I see, even in my past, will change. The meaning, and
exactly.
that's the thing too, the meaning you put in front of a situation. If you were neglected as a kid, if you're getting people who are ghosting you, right, or emotionally not available, and you're putting a meaning, it's just like a recipe box. Did you ever have like your mom or grandma have like a little recipe box, right?
Mm,
You open it up and you're like, oh, okay, it's because I'm not good enough. Oh, it's
mm,
because I'm not attractive. Oh, it's because I'm too much. And you
mm.
put those meanings are coming from you. Those are the assumptions you really need to heal, because then you can see the situation as it is and see other people's wounds and distortions, and then actually attract what you want, which is somebody emotionally available, because you're emotionally available to yourself.
I think you will love Seth, actually.
Oh, cool.
But who
Well,
knows?
yeah, I know. You're just
Give
like
me
now
an update.
tantalizing me. You're like, oh,
Give
I
me
don't
an
know.
update.
We'll do a
Give me an
part two and I'll be
update.
like, oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
watched it.
Yeah. No, well, Seth is very much so he talks about beliefs. Everything in our reality comes from our thoughts, our feelings, and beliefs. And beliefs are thoughts you keep thinking.
Hmm.
And thoughts, your emotions are created by how you think.
Yeah.
So and all of that creates your reality. And yeah, so you hear my cat. I don't know if you can. Yeah, he's like he wants to eat again. But
Oh, I mean, I love snacks too. So, and also too, he's
yeah.
like, maybe he's just like, he's sharing what he thinks about Neville too. He's like, and actually, or maybe he's just giving a amen. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
High five, Pinky. Yeah. So, okay. Um la 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 la. Oh yeah. Um do you believe in multiverse, quantum jumping, stuff like that?
I
Have you
mean,
have you had an idea about that?
for me right now, the way I see it, and maybe a year from now or a month from now, 10 years from now, I'll be like, oh, Abby, what you didn't know then, right? So for me right now, I see it as, more of a Dr. Joe Dispenza, where every potential, even quantum physics, every potential exists right now. And the way
Mm,
you collapse the potential, which is an unseeable wave,
mm,
is by essentially focusing on. It's like you're
mm,
selecting it. And the
mm,
beliefs, your perception is what's going to collapse the potential into particle form. So
mm,
in that is a multiverse that
mm,
I could shift here and be this person. I could shift there and be that person. They're all existing simultaneously now, just the same they
mm.
say time, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around, which quantum physics gives a couple different.
Simultaneously, yeah.
Yeah, well, like when you so like a multiverse, right? So if everything, right, you successful, all the money you need or want, in the relationship, all that stuff, right? And even like you with the relationship and not the money, like that's two different options. But you know, this double slit experiment, right? Where they
Yeah.
found where it's like, you know,
Hmm.
the observer effect. So the
Yes.
observer effect and your thoughts and your beliefs are observing that you think you are, you're keeping that you and that experience
Hmm.
like kind of imprisoned here.
Hmm. Hmm.
But you know what's interesting? There's a second experiment that they did. I mean, at least one that I'm aware of. I'm sure they've done a lot of different ones off of that, but it's called the double eraser experiment.
Oh, I
And so the
haven't heard
double
about that
eraser
one.
experiment is like, I'm like, how is this not like talked about more? And probably
Mhm.
scientists are like rolling their eyes and they're like, we do. But you know, this is where when you see yourself differently, even in your past,
Mm.
how it can affect your now. Because
Mm.
the quantum eraser experiment is basically the double slit, right? So it either was
Mm.
observed and not observed. So say it was
Mhm.
observed
Mhm.
and it collapsed
Yeah.
into a particle, right? So it's
Mhm.
observable 3D matter.
Mhm.
With the quantum eraser, the first part happens at the end. So this happens first, the end, the
Mhm.
result, B
Mhm.
happens, and then it's either observed or not observed.
Wow.
So when you think about, you know, who it is that, yeah, I know. So that's why I think also too, going off of like revision, seeing yourself differently in the past can very much impact and shift
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah,
current.
for sure.
And when you
Yeah,
think
yeah,
about
yeah.
multiverses that way, my God, you
Mm.
can move all the different ways. And your reality right now can be completely different based on where you're putting that energy and what you're
Mm.
essentially picking out for your
Mm.
desired experience, even though
Mm.
consciously you want something different, Billy, but unconsciously it's
Yeah, but
unfamiliar.
do you?
Yeah.
Exactly. Because when you see the thing that you don't want to see, you're choosing it. And you
Yeah.
have to figure out how you are choosing it because otherwise you wouldn't be present.
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming off that, have you seen the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once? Like
No.
it's in cinemas now here in Berlin.
Mm.
It's like you have, well, you don't have to, but check it out. It's
Yeah.
so funny and so spot on, and it's about the
Ah.
multiverse. And I actually wanted to ask you about quantum jumping because I've experienced some things. Then I saw the movie and I thought,
Mm.
wait a minute, they do in an extreme what I found to be true. So let me tell you, let me explain. I found that if I did things out of the ordinary, so using my left hand more than my right hand, and tying my shoes up differently, doing
Mm.
things just a little bit out of the ordinary, I had really weird results that I thought,
Mm.
okay,
What kind
I
of
just
results?
really, yeah,
You can't tease us like this.
I know. Okay, but they are noticeable for me. For another, they would be, yeah, okay, sure. But
Sure.
they were noticeable for me, like things that I had been wishing and all of a sudden happening. Like I'm always working with money and love, these things. And acceleration of money coming in. And I know that everything is a direct reflection of who I am being.
Hmm.
So things felt stuck for a while. And then I moved to things a little out of the ordinary, as using my left hand more, doing, I don't know, getting out the other side of the bed, starting with brushing my teeth instead of with yoga, all these
Hmm.
little things to change. And I literally had different experience because I was someone different.
Hmm.
And then I watched the movie and they do they do really interesting things to shift to another
Hmm.
multiverse, to shift to another verse universe.
Yeah.
But, but that's what I've been doing. But
Yeah.
they, of course, exaggerate. Like,
Sure.
and I was wondering if you have an experience like that you were consciously like, hey, wait a minute, this was just a huge quantum jump that I just did.
Yeah, there's been things like before I probably would have been like, no, I'm just, you know, like kind of benefit doubt, right? Like where I swear something was one way or maybe a billboard looked one way and like all of a sudden it's
Mm,
different. I'm like, hmm.
mm,
And before, again, I would actively be like, no, it just must have been, you know, now I'm like, interesting. So the way
yeah.
I see it is like, I mean, who's to say? I don't know. Maybe the billboard changed, didn't change. I think it's about your awareness because even in your awareness, so habitual awareness, being used to and in a habit of being aware of what you're aware of, the way the brain works too is it filters through long-term memory. So if you're
Mm,
looking for something, you don't see it with your eyes, you see what you're looking for. So with your
mm,
example, you start doing things differently, then your mind's like, okay, well, this is different. I can't go into my autopilot. I have to
mm,
start like being more aware of like maybe an
mm,
unpredictable. It's kind of off of
mm,
Dr. Joe Dispenza's work and stuff he says to break the habit of being yourself, break the habit of
Yourself,
who
yeah.
you see yourself to be, then what
Yeah.
you see and what, we have like 50
Changes.
million bits of information and coming into our unconscious processing
A
per
lot.
second,
Yeah.
and we pick up 40. So what are we pushing away that's not us? Just the same as that compliment example earlier. No, 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 that's not me. I'm humble. I'm just kind of over here. But you're tying your shoe the other way and you're like, wait a second, I tie my I write with the left hand. Who am I? What am I? Right. And then you're looking out into the world to find, who am I? Who do I relate that this would be? And then you might find different,
For
interpretations.
sure.
And then it's like,
For
is this
sure.
accurate? The same as if you're computer searching for something and it's like found results. So it allows you to play with what's going on. And then you've landed
Yeah.
something you like, you can keep it.
Yeah.
If there's something, especially if you don't like right now, starting to break the idea that that is you, that's the you that has kept you safe. It's essentially a coping mechanism. Your personality is a coping mechanism. You getting out of the same bed at the same time every day, the comforts that keep you safe are also imprison you ultimately. And if you don't like that cubby, that little nest of safety, it's going to be breaking out and it's going to feel uncomfortable. It could be more extreme, right? Tying your shoe differently, writing your hand. That's going to be more just a slightly, but there could be more extreme ones because you'll have to be differently than you see yourself as being and practice that in the real world. I'm like, what is the real world? I don't know. We could go a whole other thing on that. Yeah. But when you do that, you start also too allowing different things to come into your awareness. And when you also start looking for, oh, nope, and then giving different meanings, like that's a completely different life.
Yeah. But back to the example. So the billboard was one thing that you
Oh,
noticed.
yeah. I mean, things like I swear that I'd closed the cabinet and now it's open. I swear that I had gotten that, but it's not there. So these subtle shifts that, again, seemingly that's not a big deal, but there's a part of you that knows that that's not what it was and trusting that in you. No, I know that was different. What does that mean? I don't know, but I do.
Magic.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it
I
is
like it.
magic to jump around. And who's to say, like, this idea that it's absolutely, that's not true. Well, whose truth are you processing through?
Yeah. Yeah. And so what are you working on at the moment?
Yes, that's
Things that you can share,
yeah.
because maybe something are too private. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah. I mean, I'm so, I've done different iterations, right? So Maxwell Maltz, Psycho Cybernetics is a great book that
Yeah,
helped me
I
go
love
from
that
like,
book. Yeah.
yeah, from like a failed college athlete to making a world championship team. So I was able to shift who I was with what I do, right? Which was an early on how I stayed safe. Oh, I'm good. I get worth from what I do. Okay, that was one phase. Then the next phase of starting to become more aware of myself was in relationships, attracting people who were emotionally unavailable, obviously physically abusive, and having to see myself differently, and then attracting a very beautiful, loving, safe, secure relationship, which I'd never had, unconditional love. So I'm like, okay, wow. So my next iteration is literally on YouTube, where it's like, okay, now how can I practice what I say and who I really am and what I really value? How can I hold space for that and change the way I see myself? Growing up in a very religious home, growing up with my sexuality and all that kind of stuff, how can I in my totality accept me and then see that reflected out? So that would be like my current situation, and then like the past couple. But yeah, simple, but yeah, there's a lot of different layers of that.
Yeah. And do you sometimes, so I'm now at the point that I'm like, okay, no more information now. I'm just doing and experiencing, and I stop meditations for a bit because sometimes it just gets too much, reading information, and now it's just time to let it all. Do you experience these moments too, or are you very no, I always.
Oh no, I mean, I definitely go on ebbs and flows of more intake, or maybe sometimes I'll just watch other videos on YouTube that have nothing to do with spiritual growth, or I'm watching like just different company things. Like I think mechanisms are very interesting. So, I like stories. So I like to hear about others' experiences through their stories and their experience, whatever. So yeah, and how that looks, I go into different phases of trying different things. But at the end of the day, it's how am I applying this? What am I getting? How do I see me? So one thing I started to do is like right when I wake up and I'm aware I'm awake, but I'm not really awake because you're kind of like foggy brained, So I start to just like check in and it's like, okay, what is me? What is me? What is me? And like I can feel these kind of things that are inside of me that aren't me. So like trying to release those. What am I afraid to see? What do I really feel like is holding me back? What stories am I telling and just kind of spending time there. A recent thing that I'll share, this is like super personal, but hey, aren't we all here to share our experience? But one thing that I'm really still like a part of me is still like when you get a glitch and like the screen freezes, like that's how I feel. Part of me is, but this idea that with my sexuality growing up in a very conservative Christian home, seeing it as I'm embarrassing because of how that was seen. Somebody was embarrassed by that. Well, only until last week did I realize, oh my gosh, that's embarrassing to them. I'm not embarrassing. And there's such a vastness between those two ideas.
Wow.
It is not me that I'm, and again, it could be that person, it could be so many different things that if you're relating to that of how someone sees you as who you are. So that's, I guess, another way to answer the question of what I'm working on. Because it's essentially me being here now with you as I really am, as opposed to, okay, what can I say? How can I not be embarrassing? How can I hide part of me? So how am I going to be, and again, my soul's desire, like, let's go on YouTube and share ideas. Let's be seen. And part of me, part of me is like, okay, but not like that. Okay, but don't say that. That's not, don't be embarrassing, right? And I'm like, oh my God. So that like, wow. And that's like at the very center of me, and this misunderstanding of myself based on the best intentions of those who really love me, right? They're not bad, but I'm not bad. What I do, me being me is it. And people's interpretations. Yeah.
Also, I believe we came here with a challenge. We came pre-installed with challenges.
Downloaded.
And it was just like, okay, you have this human experience. This is what you came here to do. And now, because I feel like how I see you, you feel so free and so yourself. And just by being like that, you give everyone permission to be the same.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to do. We're just all walking each other home.
Yeah.
Like it's a proverb, like,
it's like one of the truest things. And that's the thing too, right? And even in that example of, I just want to be loved as I am, but I'm not giving myself permission to be as I am. So I have to give the permission of myself and other people. They want to be embarrassed. They want to be this, they want to do, okay, that's their full expression. I got to be, and just, the lessons in that, like, okay, make more space. So
well, since we are opening up, so I had a huge realization, which was 2 days ago, actually. So I'm dating, and it's been a while since I've been dating, and then I was like, okay, no. Now I feel like, I'm ready, and I get into full-blown panic attacks, like just panic. And I don't know what happens. My whole body just freezes and I'm just in panic. And I was sending a voice message to a friend, and all of a sudden I got it. I thought, wait a minute, this comes from when I was a baby. So I think very much in the Seth way. So everything is now, Joe Dispenza way too. Everything is now. And also I wasn't a victim. It was a chosen, it's a path that I chose. So that's also how I look at it, but still it happened. So when I was a baby, a version of me was a baby. My mother, who came to Holland with me, because I was born in South America, she moved to Holland with me. She left me with her sister, who was supposed to take care of me, but who didn't. So my mom would be out to work and came back, and I was just a hot mess, crying. My diaper was dirty, and I've been like crying the whole day, and my diaper was filthy and wet. And I think this went on for, I don't know, weeks, months. I have no idea, until my mother thought, okay, bye, ciao, I'm leaving. But that experience made, like, the essence of that is unsafety. Like if you as a baby cannot trust that you're, whenever you cry, you need something, but no one's coming to give it to you. And then I thought, that's it. So now I walk around with the baby version of me, in my mind, not always, because I'm not always aware of it. Like
Yeah.
I give her what she needed then,
Mm,
and it makes a massive difference. Like
yeah.
I feel so much more calm and centered. It's just
Yeah.
about feeling safe.
Yeah, it really is like everything we're trying to do, no matter what it looks like to the other person. And that reminds me, there's a Gabor Mate, like kind of like 10-minute quote or 10-minute video, but he talks about he grew up in like the Holocaust kind of thing, but his mom had to give him away, but like this deep early on. And he says even too, like at that age, your hippocampus isn't even developed because so you don't even have a memory, right? But you have an implicit memory, the memories inside your body. And we could go on a whole like dissertation video about your body and the unconscious and all that. But that idea that I'm not wanted or I'm not valuable, because if I was valuable, this person would be attuning to me, this person would care. And then carrying this like, oh, I'm not worth anything. But completely like you're like, oh my gosh, come here. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. What do you need? How can I want me? How can I belong to myself? And then when other people have that, it makes the space too for that to come into your life and feel familiar because you're already doing it with you. Everything starts with you. The really intense dynamics, your interpretation of you, and then also to changing that tune and reappraising yourself and your own value, I think is also really massive.
Yeah. Yeah. And through that, other parts of me and you and everyone that's doing the work can change because we're constantly changing our past and our future. And like everything's now anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, pretty cool. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing. That's a beautiful story. And also
No,
like
you.
the strength that like that's the thing too, like when we go through these really intense, like unwanted experiences, it does give us these strengths when we alchemize the energy and we can transmute all that pain into wisdom. Then it's like, wow, I'm sure you're really independent and fierce, but you also need, that connection. It can be safe. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's really awesome.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Welcome. All right. So we talked about before we went on this recorded video that we wouldn't make it too long because it's nice not to listen to an hour of la 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 la. Well, we could make it short and snappy too. So I would love to maybe ask you two more questions, or no, one, and then see whatever you would like to share. No, two, because I'm also curious about the book.
Okay.
Okay. So one question is, what if you had a magic wand? Abby has a magic wand. What would you wish for everyone that's watching this?
Yeah, I mean, really, the thing I'm most fixated on is I'm like, here we go. I'm doing it now. I'm like, I don't have here's a match.
You have it.
Done.
Imagination.
There we go. Okay, so you're all under the spell. Listen to my words. Your worth is inherent. You can't ever lose it. So you learning to value yourself and reappraise if you don't feel worthy, is it your real worth, or is it through the caretakers or maybe bullies of your past? And okay, who am I to me? How am I to me? I think I'm wonderful. Oh, what if their values weren't the totality, because you also look at your parents like God when you're little. So learning to reappraise. I wish for you to appraise yourself and value yourself at the level that it really is. That would be my magic wand wish. Because that will change completely. You won't edit through, I'm not good enough. Okay, I'm going to find people who treat me like I'm not good enough. So
yeah. Worthiness. Yes. Yeah. And we're all getting there because the work that I do on myself, that you do on yourself, that people that are watching this, like it's a conscious collectiveness that is like it. Have you heard of this experiment with the monkeys that were on islands and they taught a group of monkeys a certain kind of behavior, and then the other monkeys that were not in touch, not like remotely in touch. Am I saying this correctly? So I'm not native English.
Yeah. It makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. With these other monkeys, they started to display the same behavior because of this collective consciousness thing.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's how we all influence each other. So yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
And then the last thing that I want to ask, and then
like dramatic drum roll. Last question.
This book, you said you found the book. It's called Creating Money.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it, like, who wrote it?
Oh man, I usually have it right here on my desk, but it's upstairs.
But not today. Yeah.
Yeah, but today I'm gonna have to rely on my mind. We'll have to put it in the description box because I can't. I
Yeah.
think I can't. There's two different authors, and it is a channeled book, which was a little bit like, whoa, okay. You know, I know like Abraham Hicks and stuff, but
Is it not, is it maybe
it's like
Gary
Roman,
Douglas? Not Gary Douglas. Oh yeah.
Roman and
It's,
something.
yeah, and the woman. I think you have another book of them as well.
Oh,
I think
okay.
I have the same
Okay,
book.
yeah, but we can do the link.
Yes.
But
Let's
yeah,
do the link.
we're gonna do the link. But what was your question about the book?
Well,
Or
I
just
was curious about, because you said now that you're so, like, what has it brought you so far? Like, what is the number one understanding from it?
yeah, then the understanding is about the idea of essence, that nothing outside of you is the source of the essence. It's only a vehicle to turn up the volume, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you're like, oh, okay, I want $1 million. And you'd be like, yeah, Abby, I do. And it'd be like, okay, do you want to be in your house with $1 million just stacked all around? That's the
Yeah.
final thing, right? And at
Exactly.
first you'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd feel nice. But no, you want to use the money as a vehicle to bring you
Yeah.
the essence of freedom,
Yeah.
of satisfaction, of whatever. So that
It's
is the
creating.
essence. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
have it here.
Oh, fun.
Sanaya Roman and Dwayne, Creating Money, Attracting Abundance. I have two books of them, and you
Oh,
also read
cool.
the other book. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And again, even if it's not creating money that you're looking for, if it's love, if it's whatever,
Yeah.
like
All the same.
the ideas that they're talking about, and just a very subtle shift, and just like, huh, interesting. And again, the essence and the idea that it starts here. So again, this is like, you know, if you're sitting in a canyon and you yell out, hello, the canyon's not telling you hello. It's only echoing what's coming from you. So the more you make it not be like, okay, if I had money, then I'd feel worthy. If this person loved me, then I'd feel good enough. You're not going to get there, right? Because it's reflecting, I don't feel good enough. So the external solution, that it's just a misunderstanding. Oh, it doesn't work that way. Oh, it starts from inside. Oh, okay. Well, what is the essence of money or love? Oh, I want this person to expand my sense of unconditional love or quality of life or adventure. Well, if that's the essence and that's going to be, say, max volume, how can you start doing that already on like a 2 or a 3 that you already have access to it? And that is simply one vehicle that it comes to you. So it's like you'll see the abundance of that essence and also understand yourself more. And it might not actually be that. You might be like, actually, I get it way more from over here. And I really like that. So that's the biggest thing it taught me, is just the idea of the essence. So I keep asking, what's the essence of the outcome you're wanting? And stopping valuing that if something comes outside of me and changes, then I'll be better. Because that's that childhood dynamic where you feel powerless and don't have control.
Yeah. Super true. And yeah, I experience it on so many levels. Like if I just go for, hey, but what is it that I want to feel now, instead of trying to look at, no, I can generate it here. Self-sourcing.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to say it.
Yeah, self-sourcing. Cool. So these were my questions for now. All of a sudden I had an idea and I thought, okay, no, stop.
I know we won't be that, but yeah, this was so wonderful. Thank you so much for, sharing me with your community and having me here and sharing the time with me.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And then now it's 10 minutes of like, no, thank you.
No, thank you.
And people are like, okay, I think we're done here.
Stop.
Yeah. And thank you for your cat too, for his contributions.
He's not, where is he?
He's like, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah. Peace out. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing much more from you. So
the same. Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much.